Hello there, welcome back to Omnicessary, where we dive into the wild, the weird, and the wonderful of everyday questions. Today we're kicking things off with a splashing debate. Is it better to walk or run in the rain to stay dry? Plus, we've got the skinny on how airplane Wi-Fi soars through the skies and a close-up look at why some caterpillars should come with a do not touch warning. Grab your umbrellas and your curiosity, because this episode is going to make a splash. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay updated. Now, let's get started. Should you run in the rain? I'm sure you've wondered about this at least once. Maybe from your car to the office building or your house, many people choose the fastest approach, to run, because they are in a hurry or simply because they want to get the hell out of the rain quickly, thinking it equals a drier body. In fact, whether you stroll leisurely or sprint through the downpour, your head and shoulders catch a similar amount of rain each second. But if you stand still too long under the rain, you're just asking to be soaked. If you walk at a leisurely pace and the nearest shelter is 100 meters away, you might just turn into a walking swimming pool by the time you get there. So isn't it logical to think that running, by minimizing your time in the rain, might keep you drier? If you walk, the rain will mostly hit you vertically. But when you run, your face and the front body will collide with raindrops horizontally. It's like trying to catch the rain with your entire body, making you wetter, quicker, and more evenly than walking. And since the vertical drenching remains constant, you're technically driest when standing still. The faster you run, the more horizontal rain you meet, and the wetter you get. So, running fast increases the amount of rain your body catches up front, but will save your head and shoulder from prolonged exposure. Depending on the rain's intensity, whether it's a drizzle or a downpour, the presence of wind, your speed, and the time it takes to your destination, these effects will balance each other out or cause slight variations. If you need an example, Adam and Jamie from Mythbusters conducted a controlled experiment. They walk and run under a 30-meter rain simulator, then weigh their clothes to measure the water absorbed. Surprisingly, running made them wetter. Of course, you can find another video or conduct your own experiment with varying conditions, but the fact is, there's no absolute answer to whether walking or running through the rain keeps you drier. The wind direction, the slope of the road, and the outfit you wear can all influence whether you end up drier or wetter. So while science gives us a good baseline, your own rainy day race might tell a different tale. How does airplane Wi-Fi work? Initially, the first flight to offer Wi-Fi was a Lufthansa flight from Munich to Los Angeles in 2004. So this isn't a newfangled invention. There are two types of airplane Wi-Fi. The first one is air-to-ground, which sounds rather missile-like, and involves an antenna on the plane catching signals from cell phone towers underneath. Like how our phones pick up 5G cellular, except that's when you're not hurtling at 500 knots 5 miles away from the ground. The major downside? It entirely relies on the density and connectivity of the ground towers, which means if you're flying over a city, everything is fine. But when you start reaching sparse areas like deserts or vast oceans, your connection might be patchy or drop entirely. On top of that, the max speed for this ground-based Wi-Fi is about 5 megabits per second. Barely enough for only one person to watch a YouTube video in standard HD. And I guess you're not the only one on the plane. When shared among many passengers, it's more suitable for reading the news, checking emails, or watching the eternal buffering icon. The second type, satellite Wi-Fi, offers a more deluxe service. Signals travel from ground stations to satellites in space, and then back to the plane, covering flights anywhere in the world. Nowadays, satellite Wi-Fi on planes can reach up to 80 megabits per second on the Ka band, which lies between 27 to 40 gigahertz in the electromagnetic spectrum, almost as fast as home internet. However, this bandwidth is possibly shared among hundreds of devices on board, so streaming 4K videos is impossible, let alone gaming, as the signal has to travel over 100,000 miles. Well, you may think that distance is small compared to the speed of light. Indeed, light can cover that distance in the blink of an eye, or half a second. But in most MOBA games, where everything happens in real time, half a second is enough to determine the outcome. Why should we avoid touching caterpillars while birds munch on them unbothered? You thought it was obvious, wasn't you? Caterpillar fuzz causes itchiness or hurts like a sting. But if touching fuzzies made you itch, then napping under a fuzzy blanket would be a nightmare. The key lies in those bristles. They are not just simple strands, but technically empty tubes that connected to poison sacs that stay sealed by default. Any accidental contact causes the tube-like bristle to break, releasing toxins onto the contact surface. Depending on the toxin's potency, you might just itch a bit or feel pain as severe as a bee sting. The most venomous caterpillar in North America is the puss caterpillar. These seemingly harmless-looking caterpillars are covered in dense hairs filled with venom so potent that one touch can leave a lasting impression, painful enough to rival heartbreak. Scientists rate the pain caused by this creature as equivalent to a wound inflicted by your ex. But the real king of caterpillar venom dwells in South America. It's called Lohnomia obliqua, or the giant silkworm. Its venom can cause severe bleeding disorders. A mere touch against this creature is painful enough. If you stumble into a swarm or accidentally grab onto one with your whole hand, your chance of meeting God within 24 hours is very high, with symptoms including severe bruising, urinated blood, lung, and brain hemorrhages. At least 500 people have died because of these dangerous organisms. As for birds eating caterpillars and still being fine, they also avoid brightly colored, and especially those hairy ones. Birds always keep a healthy distance from these creatures. What are your thoughts? Have you tried Wi-Fi on airplanes? Do you run or walk in the rain? Please leave a comment. As always, like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell for the craziest facts. Goodbye, and see you next time.